random things. What do we draw? What do we draw? What do we draw? In this live stream, we got to draw two things at the very minimum. Two things. Two things. Two things. Um, an invention and a random thing. So let's get it. Let's get it. What should we draw? What's a good little invention to draw? Let me think here. Typically, when you can't think of an idea for an invention, it's a good idea to just draw a box. A box is a good starting point for an invention. Now, what does the box do? The lazy approach is the box is just a black box that does something funny. You posted me T-posing when I was 14. I love you. Dang, dude. Dang, you've been a real one. Man, that was like almost a decade ago. Jeez. Dang. Well, we got well. Gotta try and bring back that kind of that culture. I feel like that'd be cool. Let's see here. What would a funny little box do? What would a funny invention be? What would an invention be? Something with feet, maybe some feet thing. Foot shaver. Foot. Oh gosh, no, I can't do that. Foot skinner. Hello. What's something bizarre? Foot oiler. There we go. That's horrific. Ay. Okay. See, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. We're gonna call it the Quentin Tarantino machine. No. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I like how do some people have like a foot fetish? That's like the most bizarre thing I could possibly imagine. Um, you know what's even worse than a foot fetish? Like so the only thing worse than a foot fetish is a girl who has a foot fetish. I don't even know if that's a real thing. I don't even is that even does that even happen? Do women have foot fetishes? Dude, I feel like that would ruin my relationship if I'm dating this girl and then we're like, it's getting along well and everything there's no red flags, everything's good and then one day she says, "By the way, I have a foot fetish." I'm like, "Oh." I don't even know how I would react. Like, what do you do in that situation? Uh, oh man. But I don't know. Is it like a is foot fetishism mainly like a male thing? Like I'd hope I would pray to God that mostly a male thing because I can't I can't imagine a girl I'm dating having that. I don't want to even consider that as being a risk. Oh man, dude, imagine how much that would suck though. Oh man, now you got to do some weird foot things with your girl, dude. I don't know. I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I don't think. That's forever ago. Haha, love. Need to bring back. I'm 21 now. Dang, dude. Dang, dude. Oh gosh, time is going too fast. A box that causes irreversible damage to your feet unless you're continuous distance 4 feet from it. What? Theory is that the pleasure center of the brain is located closer to the feet. Well, what does that even mean? The pleasure center or the feet center? Like, what's the feet center? Like the area of your brain that is that like how would you say it? That processes shapes that look like feet or the locomotion center, like because I've read that I've seen that kind of fact thrown around, but it's criminally ambiguous. It shouldn't be that ambiguous. Um, Hi, man. I love your videos. Do you like cheeseburgers? What is this? 2012? Yes. Yes. I would say so. Thank you, though. I appreciate the support. Um, ooh. I'm thinking I'm thinking of like some weird like rubberized thing. Like there's some like rubber thing that you like stick your foot into and it's like it like oh wait, hold on a minute. Ooh, dude, this is gonna be disturbing. You stick your foot into this like weird little I'm not gonna say what it is. I'm not gonna say what it looks like, but imagine like some rubber thing where it's like it makes sure that oil doesn't come out, but it would look like super disturbing. It would look it. I mean, it does look super disturbing. Ay, ay, ay. I don't know. I think they're just trying to justify liking feet. Yeah, but dude, like, where does this stuff even come from? Like, I will say, when it comes to um, hmm, uh, kind of abnormal human sexuality, a lot of it, it has like very clearly defined causes. Like, it's a lot of this stuff is like most stuff is not genetic. Like, people don't genetically have weird proclivities. But there are some things where I genuinely have no idea where it comes from, namely the foot stuff. Like I don't even. Anyway, let's finish this drawing of the feet thing. Oh, is it a Gusnov drawing if it doesn't have some sort of cylindrical vat of some liquid? I mean, let's be real here. Let's be real here. By the way, I was thinking who actually inspired like kind of my drawing stuff? Who inspired all this stuff? Um, and I used to think it was just like Dr. Seuss and Calvin and Hobbes and Gary Larson, but I'm starting to realize that it's also probably like Shel Silverstein. And I think there's like probably like one or two others. But man, have you guys read a series of unfortunate events? Some of the messaging is a little questionable, but I don't know. When I read that when I was a young laddie, I mean, pretty damn good book. Pretty damn good book. I feel like I've kind of learned some mannerisms from that too, just from the writing style and all that. But that's the thing. That's the thing. Most people don't really like. I mean, you don't know what, or maybe not. You don't. Uh, yeah, I think you don't know exactly who inspired you to do X, Y, or Z, but I think it's a good idea to be kind of introspective and try and realize, like, you know, which giant's shoulders am I standing on? You know, am I? I don't know, because that allows you to kind of notice your like weak spots. Because like let's say you only were inspired by Dr. Seuss, then all of your stuff is gonna be very derivative of Dr. Seuss. But um if you look at like if your taste profile is like really deep and you have like a lot of other artists, then what you create is going to be a lot more unique. And you could say, well, no, you're just copying from other artists. It's like, no, because I think what art is on a deep level is kind of there's like a large body of work, right? And this is like your training data. Like imagine you're an AI. It's your training data, and it helps you learn to be a better artist. But you as a conscious observer, you get to look at this training data and say, I really like this, I really like that. I don't like this as much, but it still is gonna affect you. And you can try and, like, emulate certain things a lot more, and through kind of your natural neural processes in your brain, along with your conscious decision to choose things specifically and kind of self-align yourself, you create like, assuming that you can't create anything new, this decision right here to consciously select, um, I don't know, subject matter, I think creates something new because, well, I mean, it's like shuffling a deck of cards, but then I don't know, this like adds like a crease to the card. So the card isn't exactly the same after it was shuffled. Or maybe this is like painting the card, green or something. And if you're really good at this, maybe it's like adding a new card to the deck. Or you could add like, a couple of cards to the deck. But I feel like most people, they can only add like one card or maybe a couple cards. There are very few people who can like create an entirely new thing. Like even Newton, I think, when he invented calculus and invented a lot of the laws of physics, I think he was still operating on training data. He was still operating on what people that came before him. But he was able to put like a lot of like way more cards in the deck than like typical people can. Um, but yeah, and I would also say, dang, no one likes this stuff. No one likes philosophy. Damn. Ah. You talk about the philosophy of art and everyone leaves. Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrow. No, but okay. This looks like Next computer software. Cheeseburgers, Lemony Snicket had a particular way of writing which was very different and unique from everyone else. Yeah, it was pretty good. I like the fact, bro, who asked for the foot oiling machine? I came up with it. I thought it would just be bizarre. But I think they're just trying to, okay. Feet are viewed as dirty, so it feels like you're doing something wrong. Oh, wow. That's actually a smart way of looking at it. Getting away with it is like a taboo, which I can understand. That explains it. Okay, I think that model of explaining where the foot fetish stuff comes from actually makes a lot of sense. So basically what you're saying is it hits the same kind of taboo thing, and some people like doing kind of taboo anyway. There's probably an entire thing behind that, like why people choose to do taboo things and all that other stuff, but that makes sense, dirty feet and whatever. That's weird. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know, man. That's the thing though, like when it comes to this side of human, I don't know, of the human experience, like why is it that like people do the most there's there's stuff where it's like um I don't know, or it's like, it's it might be extreme, but it's basically harmless. There's stuff that, is like, might be taboo, but it's harmless. But then there's some stuff where it's like you're genuinely putting yourself at like a huge health risk given what you're doing. And it's also like unsanitary and disgusting. And some people just like do that. I don't get it. Like, dude, man, I can empathize with a lot of people's experiences, but like that's one thing that I just genuinely I have no clue where that even comes from. Like even on like an evolutionary perspective, like for example, like this, like foot like foot fetish stuff, like people doing like okay, imagine you got some idiot and he puts a foot in his mouth. Like why would you do that? Like that's disgusting. Like, oh yeah, you're gonna get parasites now, you idiot. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's dude. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. Like people are weird. People are weird. People are strange. Jeez, what do we just draw? Ay, ay, ay. All right. Nobody cares. It's very good. Cheeseburgers, feet dirty. Whoops, whoops. When it comes to something primal as sex, fetishism, yeah. Like, why? Trauma also leads into a lot of that more extreme stuff, desiring a sense of control over those negative experiences. Sure, sure. And I'd say that some of that can be like innocuous. Some of it can be, it seems extreme, but it's really not. But like something like this, like that, like there's things where it like crosses into the health boundary where it's like, anyway, I'm not gonna berate this point. I'm not, or belabor this point. I think you guys already know what I'm talking about here. It's just I don't know. It's weird. I guess the reason why I'm spending some time on this is because in the modern day we kind of have like a very permissive attitude towards all this stuff. We're like, oh, it's all okay. It's okay. It's like, no, dude, that's not okay. Putting something in your mouth is not okay. Like that is just that is like anyway. Anyway. All right, let's draw something else. Thank you for the zine. I hope you enjoyed it. With pickles. No, but fetishism is an extension of my personality. It dictates my life. Okay, sure, but I'm saying like there's things that are innocuous that are fine, but there are things that are not fine. Like there are boundaries like do not cross. Like and there are boundaries that are like evil too. It's like inflation content. Maybe that's what I draw. Oh gosh, we're gonna draw goose knob inflation. Oh goodness. Oh, why, dude? Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Whatever, man. You know, we're doing it for the vine. We're doing it for the freaking vine. Okay. But like stuff like this. Now, here's the thing. What I'm about to draw, it's not designed to elicit any like you would have to be like literally like uh, you'd have to be like a serial killer to think what I'm about to draw is like I don't know. For this to turn you on at all, you would need to be like literally a serial killer. Um with that said though, the people who make inflation content, like the people who consume it's like, dude, you are frying your brain. You are like you're like sticking your head into a nuclear reactor. Like that's what inflation content is. It's like I don't even know, man. People need to people need to treat what they put into their what they put into their brain with similar how would you say it? Oh, this is just horrific. Um, with similar concern and care compared to what they put into their bodies. Like I don't know, like I feel like with that being said, there's some things where I think there's an educational point to it. Like I don't know, like looking at war footage or something, like having like taking it like a vaccine where it's like if you desensitize yourself to the reality of how bad things can get. I think that maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's some value in it. I mean, I think it helped me, like just kind of the old live leak days. It I don't know. It helped me kind of come to terms with the world and say, you know what, things could suck, but at least I know how bad things can suck. Now I think if you over and extend that, and if you're just like watching live leak all the time, and you're like, it should be like maybe like I don't know, once a year or something. Like it should be like very sparingly, but I think it can help to inoculate yourself to how bad things can get. Anyway, um, but like there's some things where it's like you should not be interacting with it at all. Like, that's literally a like, inflation content like this. Dude, this is so fucking bizarre. Oh my gosh. Inflation content is like a cognito hazard that I think, oh, I don't know, it's just, bro, it's gonna, like, I don't know, this is gonna turn you it's gonna turn you into a monster. Like, I don't know, like, just think about the craziest things you could possibly think of. Like, someone with, like, a diaper fetish or some crazy idiotic thing. It's like, let's say, maybe one of you guys has that. Don't fucking look it up. Don't go on Google and say, "Oh, I wanna I wanna quell the urge by looking this disgusting crap up." It's like, dude, that's how you ruin your life. Like, you gotta like, if you got some weird thing like that, you gotta take it, you gotta repress it, and you gotta forget about it. Like, that's all you can do. Like, and the modern like, the stupid academics and the stupid journalists who are saying like, "Oh, you need to, just do whatever you feel like. It's good for you." It's like, "No, dude. Like, you need to repress it. You need to stop thinking about it, and you need to, like, freaking do something better." And you say, "Well, repression is bad." It's like, I think that there have been, like, recent studies that actually say that repressing negative thoughts, and kind of, intentionally moving your brain to a different kind of, ignoring it and kind of changing subject in your mind actually does help. So it's actually a huge lie in the 20th century that, oh, repression is bad. It's bad to, you need to do whatever you feel like. Like that, scientifically, it is incorrect. It's some hippie BS. Um, you know, like it, and that's like what socialization is. Like, you exist in a society. Like, I could, maybe I want to, like, go and run around the street and be naked on the street and be like, "Oh, I want to be free. I want to be free. I want to do whatever I want." It's like, no, you live in a society. You don't get to do that, and it's like you shouldn't even want to do that. It's like the goal should be to be the best person you can be in a social group, so that the group can do something great. And that requires sacrificing some stupid idiosyncrasies that you have, for a greater cause. It doesn't mean, you know, I don't know if idiosyncrasy is the right word, but it doesn't mean like lobotomizing yourself, but it does mean like, being at least somewhat normal and socialized, But I think the 20th century kind of, you had a lot of people saying, "No, I want to do whatever I want." And I think, we're slowly realizing today the fruits of that insane belief system. It's like, no, no, no. That is not how civilizations are designed. Civilizations are not built on the idea of doing whatever the hell you want. They're built on sacrifice. They're built on saying, you know, my personal wants and like whims don't matter. What does matter is our survival and our progress as humanity. And you could say, well, no, it's not mutually exclusive. No, it is. It is. You either get to decide that you matter, that your personal happiness is of key importance. I just want to enjoy everything. I just want to have fun all the time. It's like, okay, have that, and then you're gonna end up like Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia, it was basically stagnant for like most of its society. Like they're very libertarian when it comes to social, like basically all different social forms. But then you look at China, right? China is probably one of the most advanced states to ever exist. And I don't agree with everything, but one thing they do have, right, is an idea of kind of hierarchical duty, which means that you sacrifice your like you know you sacrifice autonomy, like some autonomy, or some kind of, will to uphold the will of the larger group, you know, the group of, the state or the group of your family. And the goal is to honor that and to build within that structure. And you look at Southeast Asia and you look at East Asia, right? China, Japan, Korea, which areas were more developed? Which areas like created civilization and which ones didn't? Like the areas that sacrificed did. The areas that sacrificed created civilization. The ones that didn't lived in like, huts until like the 20th century. So anyway, I mean, you could say, "Oh, this is all this is all a given. This is all, I know this." It's like, okay, maybe you do, or maybe you say you do, or maybe you don't agree with it. And I'm just saying, well, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, like any society that you and your ideas lead will end up failing. And and if you enjoy having your stomach full and, having enough to eat and being comfortable, like you need to live in a sacrifice-based society. You cannot live in a society that is how would you say it? Uh, I'm gonna do whatever I want. It's like, no. No, 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 no. Anyway, um, I think I've covered most of the points I wanted to make there. Inflation with air. You should caption this economics and make it a one panel. Economics, the inflation person. That's funny. Me when I cosplay as a giant sewing needle to pop these degens. That's funny. What am I drawing? Oh, hey, Cash. At furry cons, I got to have panels for these kinks. I'm not joking. Like a convention room full of people for war and inflation. See, like that's like this is what I'm talking about. You have how many hours does someone put into making a furry suit? Making a furry suit, drawing furry art, gooning online, going to the convention, setting up the convention, organizing 1,000 people to go to a convention. Like, how many hours of human labor have gone into that and have been wasted on the altar of, I'm going to do whatever I want? Dude, probably like hundreds, if not thousands, or whatever. No, at the very least, thousands of hours of human life has been like obliterated in something like this. For what? So you get to goon, right? So much progress has been lost at the altar of gooning. It's too bad. I forgot this whole tangent came from inflation porn. uh, but here's the question that philosophers today need to figure out. The internet allows you to see anything you want, ever. Anything. You gotta look at anything. And it's only a search away. What's stopping me from looking at anything? You know? Um, so I think it takes individuals to hold themselves accountable. And we live in a time today where people don't, and people think that anything you do is okay, but it's not true. Your actions have infinite weight to them, and you can make bad decisions. You can choose to do something that is actually like the worst thing you can do in a situation. Like it's not, "Oh, I'm gonna go and goon today. I'm gonna goon right now and it'll be fine. I'm just blowing off steam." It's like, no, you're doing something that is hurting you, your future, and potentially others. Um, and then just like apply that to like a larger scale, apply that times several billion people, and you see where this problem comes about or what it leads to. Because imagine if like a majority of the population thinks like this, like it just leads to stagnation. That's the problem, and we cannot stagnate in our current kind of industrial civilization. Like, at the very least, if we're gonna stagnate, we gotta go and have some O'Neill cylinder colonies. We need to have, like, a moon base at the very least. We gotta have a moon base and some supply chains going up and down off of Earth. If we have that, okay, great. Sure, whatever. Do whatever. I'm guessing. Like, but at the very least, we need some infrastructure to sustain the continuation of humanity, I would say. But at the end of the day, I'd say that even if we had that, it probably that mind virus of kind of do what thou wilt, which is a satanic tenet. Like, this is if you look at the satanic Bible, that's like the number one thing that they teach. And I'm not making that up. I'm not saying like, oh, as a Christian, that's what it's like. No, that is what Satanism is. Satanism is do what thou wilt. Do what you want to do. Do what you do what makes you feel good. That's the only thing that matters. What makes you feel good. Um, but that mindset just leads to nothing. It leads to mediocrity. It leads to just stupidity. It's I mean, this is obvious. This is like I mean, I can't believe that I need to be saying this, but in the 20th century, the philosophers of the time just like dismantled everything. They said nothing is real, nothing is truth. Truth doesn't exist. Everything is relative. And now we need to like rebuild all the bricks. We need to rebuild all the bricks of our society and explain why we believe different things. Because boomers, they just they did LSD and shrooms for a decade, and then you know they just they stopped believing in anything except themselves. And now we're living in the consequences. You know, now no one can afford homes. Now I mean, I'm not going to go through the whole rigmarole, but you guys know how bad it is. And a lot of this, I think, could be you could trace it back to the boomers' adoption of the idea of "do what thou wilt," right? Because what does that mean? What does that mean? It means sacrificing your life for the good of everyone else isn't the highest ideal. Instead, the highest ideal is you. You are the best. It's like no, like the boomers are a civilization or a generation where everyone is completely self-centered, completely self-interested, and they see themselves as in singular individuals who are trying to get as much as they can for themselves. And Gen Xers kind of are like this, and Gen Z. I mean, this type of entitlement has kind of continued down, but I mean, this is not how to run a civilization. This is not how things work. Um, and you could say, well, no one really thinks this. It's like, um, I would say that this belief system, this outlook, is probably one of the reasons why there is there's a birth rate collapse crisis. Because okay, let's look at like from the perspective of like you got men and women. Okay, from the perspective of women, childbirth sucks, right? It's painful, but it leads to something beautiful. It leads to a kid, and it leads to a much better life afterwards. Everyone I've talked to as kids, their only regret is that they didn't have kids sooner. But it requires some sacrifice. You need to go through some pain. There's a risk, with pregnancy. And it's inconvenient for like 9 months. When your highest ideal is I matter the most and sacrifice is like it's not even a part of the equation, why would a woman want to have kids? Why? Like what's the point of having kids? It's like I'm doing something for others with no real benefit to myself, and all I get from it is like pain and then responsibility. It's like, yeah, no wonder most women don't want to have kids. It's because they have this like mind virus that tells them, do what thou wilt, do what is best for you. That's the only thing that matters. And you could say, well, no, that's unfair. It's like, okay, men think this way too. I'm just saying that This is a specific instance where you can see a belief system lead to a tangible, huge effect. And you could say, "Oh, this doesn't matter." The birth rate in our society is collapsing. Korea, Japan, China, globally. Um, this is probably one contributing factor. And if we don't figure out how to remedy this birth rate collapse, I mean, read Spengler, read history. It's like this has happened before. Uh, Birth rate collapses have happened and they destroy civilizations. Like imagine you go to like your hometown. You move out of your town to a big city and you go back to your hometown and there's like one person living there. You know, there used to be like thousands. Now there's like one person or like there's one family. Like Spengler talks about this that there are many historical examples where that happened. It's like I don't know. Anyway, a lot of thoughts there. I think you guys get the point. I'm gonna read some comments and then we're probably gonna end it. Current birth rate 1.6, birth rate needed to replenish US population 2.1. Yeah, it's just going down too. So free will is awesome. I can play Roblox all day. Oh geez. Cocky go boing boing makes more sense than inflation fetishes. Oh, I thought you said that explains. Never mind. Edging till I hit $10 a dozen. What? We gotta have a goon base. Oh. Oh, no. Cash, I'm gonna kill you. Rarities? How do I put a rarity in my comic? How would that work? That sounds cool. What do I put a rarity in my comic? What's a rarity? Can do whatever you want, unless it's to be left alone by the government. That's funny. Because the government is God today. That's how it's kind of perceived. I mean, throughout human history, the government has been symbolically seen as God. Like, look at you could argue that it started with the Egyptians, but um, this has been true for most of human history. The state and God, which is not the case. The state is not God, but anyway, to say that we live in a post-religious society. We are completely logical. You know, we're making the best decisions because our society is based on logic. It's like what's over here? What's going on? You know, here. What's this? Uh, it's your hardware. It's your brain. What's operating on that hardware? What's the operating system for your brain? It's something that is it new? No. It's it evolved over the course of millions of years to what it is now. So there's tons of weird symbolic things going on. There's tons of like calculations you have no idea are happening. And logic, by the way, is like a tiny bit of like just human cognition. And it's a tiny bit of the world. It's not everything. And plus, logic leads you astray if you have the wrong belief systems. Um, plus, like your brain, it's like only a small amount of it is conscious. Um, so to say we are somehow living in some weird utopian, future, or we're living in the modern era. Uh, no, no, you are the same person that the Egyptians were. You're the same person who worshipped the emperor as a god. You're the same person who saw the Chinese emperor as a divine being. Um, I mean, you could say, well, this isn't true. It's like, okay, then why in the 1940s did the Japanese see the emperor as a god? They had probably more advanced equipment in many fields than the Americans did. And they still saw the emperor as a god. Um, like this is deep. Like you don't get to change human OS. And you don't get to kind of decide what you consider and what you don't. Um, but yeah, human OS. But yeah, like and so today, people see the state as a god. It's some all-serving entity thing, right? Um, and I think a lot of people have a very religious view of how the world works. They think that we can build a utopia as long as we get God to build it for us. You know, as long as we get the state to figure everything out for us, then we get a utopia and everything goes well. And this is no different than pharaonic belief. This is no different than the mandate of heaven. This is same thing, but more insidious because I think the people who believe this don't really realize what they're doing. And I think we have many different examples to show why, when this belief system is tried out to its extreme, it I mean, it leaves millions of dead in its wake. So anyway, and whatever you could say, oh, 100 million dead, communism, blah blah blah. Well, this is a tired old talking point, but it's like it's still worth talking about because, dude, so many people think that the state will usher in a utopia. It's like that's not how the world works. I think medieval civil, no, maybe no, Renaissance era civilization makes a lot more sense. Maybe not in terms of like utopia, but I'm talking about like in terms of how people understood the state. You had a bunch of very morally gray, like city states kind of vying for power and doing kind of different, acting in their own interest. And, you know, did people say that this is utopia, this is perfect? I don't think so. There were some instances where maybe like, maybe with like the German Holy Roman Empire, where maybe they tried to say that, but for the most part, they were like they were kind of honest with the fact that they were playing power games. Like power games with the state will always happen, but you get a choice to be honest about them or not. And I'd rather be honest because if you're not honest, then you get to just commit atrocities because you don't realize what you are. Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. But yeah, good live. Appreciate the comments and everything. Interesting stuff. Honestly, I have two opinions on Christians. One, the Bible is sometimes misunderstood and used as a excuse to be evil. Despite the things being believed in being unproven, the lessons taught are smart. Nothing is provable. Like you can have a good like read Hume. Hume explains this, but even the notion of cause and effect is, according to Hume, is a product of habit versus actual knowledge. Um, so everything is up in the air. We don't really know anything. A lot of this stuff has to rely on belief. Now, you can have a pretty good idea that something is a certain way, right? I drop something, right? I drop something. I measure the acceleration. Oh, shoot. G is probably 9.81 meters per second. Okay. But what happens when you get more precise instrumentation? What happens when you look at all the stars? You look at the planets. You see, oh, shoot, my model is wrong. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. How do I reconcile gravity with quantum mechanics? Oh, shoot. So you could say that, oh, yes, I know things. Yes, I know that from my reference frame, this was going to drop at approximately 9.81 meters per second. But what does that actually mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? That's not truth. That's an approximation of something. You have to understand, most no, all science is an approximation. All science is a model and an approximation of what's going on. We can create a very good model, 99.999%, But to say, "Oh, yes, we know this. We know the science." It's like, you're not a scientist. You're not a scientist if you think that. I have a master's degree in science, so Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering. So I know the process. I know what's going on. Um, and I would say, um, if you say that you know things for certain, you're actually more of a religious dogmatist than you think. You don't know things, you believe them strongly. Never conflate knowledge with like your feelings of how true something is with the knowledge that it is real. Um, but like I would say, there's no proof. There's no proof. There's no nothing that is like 100% saying yes, God is real. There's also no proof of like that there is no higher consciousness that governs the universe. You know, you could try and disprove it. I mean, maybe you could come up with some logical argument that disproves it. Never happened. And there's nothing empirical that kind of suggests the other to the contrary. So, and you could say, well, things seem to be mostly material, so that means there's no God. It's like, no, I think that that's a, in light of quantum mechanics, in light of kind of uncertainty, I think that that argument goes out the window. Point is, though, you don't know either way. You don't know either way. So I think ultimately what matters is choosing a belief that leads to the best outcome, which I would argue Catholicism leads to the best outcome. But anyway, fact check that yourself. Look at what CNN tells you. Make sure that CNN is agrees with what I just said before you consider what I told you. Um, but anyway, that's just my thought. That's just my thought. I would say though, reality is a lot more complicated than you think. Once you start reading some philosophy, you realize that it's like, oh shoot, oh shoot, oh no, I thought that this was true. It's like no, it's like, and the other problem is once you think that you have a good bead on reality, once you think you have a good understanding of that, okay, I know 90% of what's out there. It doesn't mean that you know what 90% of what's out there. What it means is you probably adopted an ideology that internally is pretty consistent and it's a good model for the world, or it's not even a good model, it's just it's a model for the world that feels good. It feels good. I used to be a very devout ANCAP for a while, and I thought anarcho-capitalism like explained everything, and I still see value in a lot of the beliefs, but I used to be very ideological. I used to say this explains everything, and I was like, I'm at the end of my philosophical journey, and now that I have anarcho-capitalism, everything is solved. It's like no, no. There are so many questions, and I think like well, Plato's I know that I know nothing or something like that. I don't know. That's a good kind of approach to this. I would just say the point here is when you're making state level decisions where you utilize coercion on people, you cannot do so based on your emotions. You cannot do so based on I feel like this is right. I feel very confident about this one. Mm-mm, that you don't get that. You don't get to do that. If you do that, you end up killing a million people. Maybe you're right in some cases, but you don't get to do that. You need to be more rigorous, I would say. But on the flip side, you could say, well, in your life, oh shoot, then I can't make any decisions because I don't know what's right. It's like, okay, you need to have two belief systems. One is on the high level, you can't make assumptions, you can't be cavalier with your beliefs. But on the low level, you really need to test things. What matters isn't getting it right. What matters is getting the reps. What matters is action. On the personal level, the more you act, the more you build, the more you do, the better. I think today with our technology, the more you kind of let learning happen in the background, like I'm watching YouTube and I'm learning something while I do work or whatever. That seems like a better approach than I need to find the right fact. And this is a continuation of a conversation we had I think yesterday or something. Don't get addicted to scrolling for new information. I need to find the right information that explains everything that'll fix my life. It's like, no, you won't find that. The only way that you fix your life is by building it yourself. That's the only solution. So, um, I think that's basically it. I think that's basically it. But this is fun. This is fun. We got to do this again. We got to do this again. But I'm going to show you guys the two drawings we made. Might scroll through some comments and then we're going to end it. We're going to end it for real this time. We got the foot oiling machine, and we got the inflation, Gusnov inflation. All right. The concept of a god and death are always infinitely more important than anything we do if we understand them. And we were only wired to understand what's human, so the best way to understand it is in a human way. Interesting. Your zine is sitting happily on my desk next to my first suit above above the diaper drawer. Oh man. Whew. Gosh. I will say, if you're one of the if you're a hyphenated diaper American, um, the March 5th zine, I don't think you're gonna like it. It's very political. It's uh, mm, it's more political than I would have wanted it to be, but hey, this is where we are. This is what happens. Um, but yeah, no, check out the recent zine. The next zine is gonna be really I like it. I like it, but it's gonna be very politically divisive. Um, yeah. If you were a 300-pound art alt girl, I would think you're crazy. The fool who thinks he knows everything, and the wise man knows nothing. Yes. Mm. The wise man knows enough to be useful in the time he is in, I would say. I think that's an accurate quote. Yeah. All right. What games does Snov play? I don't play many games, but I play around 7 months ago I played Fallout New Vegas for like a week, and that was fun. I play Polytopia or something on my phone just because it's like the old Civ 2 game. It's pretty fun. I would download it if I were you. It's a fun thing to just, if you have nothing else to do and you have a phone in your hand, it's a good way to stave off a little boredom. But anyway. Oh no, he put politics in my social. Oh no, he puts politics in his social commentary absurdism comic. That's pretty funny. Miscreations. The fool thinks he knows everything. The wise man knows nothing. It's actually a pretty good quote. The real men of Xenius. All right, yo, did you find someone for the contract job, or are you still looking for emails? I'm gonna have to get back to everyone on that. Oh man, I got a final point. I got a lot of really, really, really good applications. There's a couple of people that I'm currently pursuing a contract with, basically trying to automate some of the zine things. Um, but I'm potentially looking for maybe one or two generalists, kind of generalist, maybe executive assistants or something like that to help with like some other stuff. I'm gonna have to reach out to people because what do you call it? What do you call it? The situation reflected in the emails has slightly changed, so I'm gonna have to kind of talk to people about that. Um, but I am also potentially looking for some STEM people. I might want to create like a small tiger team of engineers or coders to work on an assignment. That's going to be its own thing. Basically, the way I'm thinking about it is like a startup. Um, where I kind of bootstrap some money in and we kind of work together on something and then we all have equity in a final product. But that's still a work in progress. Um, but but I don't know. Right now I'm trying to do some baby steps, make sure that I'm not, making anyone sad. Um, and yeah. Things are going quick though, so I'm gonna try and get back to y'all as soon as I can. But yeah, if you guys are interested in STEM at all and you want to help work on a project, I don't have a lot of money for payroll, but there is huge upside potential with I guess a product we make if we kind of pool our engineering minds together. But yeah, is a card is it the card game video game idea? Card game video game. Whoa. No, I'm thinking more of just like a general business, but that could be one idea. That's actually a good one. I was thinking of just making a card game video game myself on the side, but um, shoot, man, I gotta. There's gosh, a lot of mhm. It's a lot of stuff to do. There's a lot of stuff to do. I'm just gonna have to put it like that. Yeah. Yes, I think I remember you saying you have CS, so I'd like to potentially talk with you about how what that might look like if you want to join that team. But yeah, be careful with your org structuring for liability and such. How so? I'll look into that more just before I kind of you know get people. But like, how does that work? Oh, the hole drilling holes in the ceiling video that I think that might be currently privatized or private. I don't know. That was a funny one though. I liked it. Complaining about daily uploads. You not please, I'm drowning. I need more original comics and less of you complaining about daily uploads, please. There's two ways I interpret that. One is you don't like this type of format of live stream where I'm just talking about stuff, which I don't think you mean. The other interpretation is you don't like kind of the meta comics that I make where it's like I'm drawing myself complaining about having to make comics, which is I think is what you're saying. And I agree. I don't like making those, and I will try from now on not to do many of those. But in November of 2024, I made a bunch of those just because I couldn't think of anything else to draw. So, what you'll notice with comic artists is they have fallback ideas that they go to when they don't have any ideas of what to do further. Like Bill Watterson with Calvin and Hobbes. His fallback idea was Hobbes, pouncing on Calvin, right? Calvin opens the door and says, "I'm home," and then he just draws some like funny way that Hobbes pounces on Calvin. It's like that's he probably did that when he had no idea what to draw. And he was like, "Shoot, what am I gonna do? All right, we'll just do one of those." He actually had like probably two or three types of comics like that. But I don't know. I think Bill Watterson also started when he was 25. So yeah, I think he started up Calvin and Hobbes when he was 25 or 27. I'm not sure. So I'm still learning the ropes because I'm younger than I was than Bill was when he started. So there's still a lot of like little hidden things that need to be learned. So, but yeah, I don't like I don't like making meta humor. I got to come up with better fallback stuff. But yeah. Partnership limited partnership versus corporation. Since I assume you intend to develop some product with your STEM, I don't know how it's structured in the U.S. I'm Canada. Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I mostly have that under control. I think I'll look into that. I think that's important that you brought that up. But in terms of legal protection, um, we have pretty good legal protection right now with Goosenov. Um, you love the live stream? Thank you, I appreciate it. We got to do this more. We got to make this something bigger. Hopefully, we'll see. His fallbacks were usually putting Calvin and Hobbes in the wagon and letting him go off on philosophical discussions. Yes. I would say that's more on a binary. There's like on one end there's like complete creativity and originality, and on the other end it's like a fallback. And the wagon stuff was like kind of a fallback, not entirely completely fallback. There was some originality just because it needed to be philosophical, but no, I guess your point. Yeah, I think a comic regarding the use of clams and water treatment has some merit. That's pretty good. Yeah. Some guy like dumps a bunch of spaghetti sauce in the water, and then like the clams all die or something. And then there's like I don't know. It's probably some way to do it funny. My fallbacks are gross monetization and copying others' jokes. That could be funny. Like, you make bad comics with extreme irony at the center. That could be funny. His words, not mine. Oh. I don't think I've heard Bill Watterson speak about anything. I just know all of his work. Um, I'm reverse engineering how I do things and how he probably did things. Um, and this is my best guess on what his thought process was. With that said, Watterson is way different because he probably focused all of his energy on his art, whereas for me, I have like an entire business I'm trying to run. So anyway, there's probably going to be more artistic merit in what he made, just given the fact that in the 80s and 90s there was a lot more money flowing around in syndication. Yeah, yeah. See, yeah. All right, gamer girl water in the supply. Everyone dies. All right. I think that's about it. Dang, dude. We hit about an hour. That's not bad. Exploring Calvin and Hobbes, his breakdown, like breakdown book of his comics and career. Yeah, I'm disappointed that he doesn't share more information though. I think there was a documentary on Calvin and Hobbes, and I think he refused to interview for it. Which, like, come on, man. You made $1 billion brand. Like, you should give back to the people by helping us understand your mind. And maybe his thought process is I don't want to ruin the magic of it, but it's like I don't know, man. There's hmm, not a huge fan of what he did, where he decided to just leave and just like kind of like a boomer, kind of go into retirement. It's like I don't know, man. It's like I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. The clams instantly closing as I accidentally dropped my premium collection of Gamer Girl bathwater. Yeah, Finding Bill Watterson. Yeah, I think they made a book out of it. I gotta watch that documentary. Yeah, I gotta do more research on that. I watched the Crumb documentary, which is disturbing as hell, and I watched the Ren and Stimpy documentary, which is disturbing as hell. Um, but I think that's about it. I feel like it'd be good to research more. I don't know. I feel like if we read enough books, we can turn this Goosenov comic brand into something truly on a massive scale. But only I feel like only if like there's like a Faustian amount of effort put into it. Which I don't know if that's possible, but if it starts paying off this year, if it starts like gaining significant traction, then maybe I'll divert like way more effort into this. Um, but we'll see. I don't know because like here's the thing. It's like I feel like if like the reason why I don't want to just like kind of sell the farm on the comics is because there's so many things that I feel like a lot of people, they do something for a while and then it gets stale, and then it just becomes completely irrelevant. And I'd like to find a way to ensure that I miss that trap, and if things start getting stale, to pivot into something completely new. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I wish I had a mentor, man, but I feel like we all have to kind of make this stuff up on our own. So, yeah. Gustav, I refused to buy your lamps, and now all my lighting has forcefully displaced with your. Wait, what? Gustav, I refused to buy your lamps, and now all my lighting has forcefully replaced with your lamps. What will you do to fix this? What does that mean? I own a book. Just need to get around to reading it. You know who else is massive? All right, I'm ending this. This is enough. They when someone comments low taper fade, you know it's over. You know you gotta end the live stream.